Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Duick, principal of Westwood Collegiate. I want to welcome you all to this evening's band concert, our spring band concert. Not to be confused with our jazz band concert, which will be tomorrow night. Big line of events this week. I might as well just keep going. On Thursday night will be our choral concert. Friday night will be a talent show for our GSA fundraiser. And hopefully last week you caught our musical. We just like to pack it all in at the end of the year. If exams are not enough for you, we like to culminate our school events with some wonderful arts events. Mr. Edwards, would you like to come up and start the show? I know that this is going to be an excellent one, and students have been working really hard to keep our standards up, to keep our standards at a place that Westwood Collegiate is known to be at. Mr. Edwards, please come up.
Now, we spend a lot of time thinking about the music we're going to play for you tonight. And with every single concert that we do, we offer you something that is from A to Z. And I promise tonight we're going to take you on a journey. You're going to have a ton of fun. There'll be some emotional moments, and there'll be some moments, hopefully, that you end up laughing out loud. If we do our job right, we're going to tell a lot of stories. There is some dance music tonight. Don't worry about that. There's a lot of stories being told through music tonight. And I think it's important that we know a little bit about them so that we can all celebrate that. The first piece of music we're going to play for you is entitled The Mad Prince. And I thought, with these grade 9s, they were into some cool things. I thought, you know what? You guys like creepy music, don't you? You like interesting things like Halloween. And they're like, yeah, you know? So I worked really hard to try and find this music, and I think you're really going to like this. So mad in the old sense of crazy. This is about a prince that really isn't all right upstairs, you know? Everybody's got to sit on their chairs upside down. We should try and have lunch on the ceiling. You know, that kind of mad. So we'll start with the first piece of music and see if we can kind of paint a bit of a picture about a guy locked up in a castle far too long, and he's making up all his own rules, and they don't seem to make any sense whatsoever. I once read a quote once that said, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. I'm absolutely frightened for the next 2 hours. I could just tell you that much. And it's like so great when we hit our marks and things go really well. How about another hand for that? That was really great. Well done. Well done. So now inside this castle, I want you to imagine that there's some kind of like priest or priestess inside. And, you know, like all these crazy movies, you know, the Mad Prince, not quite right in his own mind, has now gone to consult, you know, the priest or priestess that's going to cut open a chicken and roll some bones around on the floor and kick some sand and go, I think we should move all the curtains to the right. That's this kind of crazy. And it's kind of, now I want you to imagine the priestess, but this is a serpent priestess, all right? So there's going to have to be some kind of snake in there somewhere, you know, kind of conjuring up this idea of like black magic and voodoo, and that's sort of maybe influencing the prince a little bit with his decision making. promised you creepy. I told you. Weird, but they love it, and so do I. And there's such a story in that music. It's so fun. Funny thing, side note, really hard to practice snake sounds. Just want to point that out there. We went through the leaky bike tire phase for a while. Thought we sounded pretty snake-like tonight. But boy, oh boy, something. Can you imagine? You send your kids to school with all these instruments and all these reeds and all this stuff, but there we are in the band room going, no, 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 no. Sounds like an air compressor. Listen. And yeah, we had to practice our snake sounds. It was kind of fun. Yeah, really kind of cool. So now, the serpent priestess has advised the Mad Prince that the only way that he can have any fun in his life is to have a masquerade. That makes sense to me. I don't know about you, but it was like, okay, sure, that worked for me. So there has to be a dance. But in this particular dance, you can imagine that it's the Mad Prince hosting the dance. So we're not going to have maybe your traditional costumes you might think of for a masquerade ball. Some things a little bit different. Maybe some things a little bit over the top. So hopefully in our little dance portion here, we can give you just a snippet or a little bit of a peek into what their crazy masquerade must be like as we finish off this sort of suite of the idea of this Mad Prince and his life and inside of his castle with his Mad Priestess telling him what to do through her voodoo. So here is the dance of the masquerade. Really fun. And for me, that's like, that's the music of Danny Elfman. I love that guy. You know, there's a great story about Tim Burton doing movies, and he now says that he will not accept any job to do any movie unless he makes a three-way phone call. The three-way phone call is he calls Johnny Depp, and he calls Danny Elfman, who does all his music. And if they're not available, he will not take the project. Because he just loves working with them, and he loves the way that Danny writes music. And you can see that in any one of Tim Burton's films. I'm going to make my way over here to this table. And at this table, it's time to celebrate all the things that these kids did this year to get to what you just heard. And that's a lot of hard work. And there's some new things I'm going to do this year that I haven't done before, which is kind of my style. And I like that. And then I'm going to do some traditional things, which I've always done. And one of the great traditional things I do at almost every single concert is I acknowledge all of the Westwood alumni. And I think this is a perfect time for that. Can I please have all of the Westwood alumni? Oh, hold on, I'm getting a signal, like stand in front of the camera. I always get this, like I got a hello world out there. All of the Westwood alumni, please stand and be recognized. Oh, don't be shy, be proud, warriors. Love that, love this community. Thank you so much. I bet you never thought when you were in gym class you're still going to be sitting here all these years later, did you? Here you are. Proud. And you know what? Some of these banners, I mean, you know, one of the great things about Westwood Collegiate is we're not a one-dimensional building. We were very successful at a lot of things, and one of them is athletics. And let me tell you, I was sitting in here one day kind of doing something, and I looked up over there, and I didn't realize that we owned basketball for a decade. It was like a decade where no one could beat us. It was like, that must have been really exciting. Speaking of exciting, new this year, I have had the pleasure of working with Miss Munzer for, gosh, I guess it's coming on about 18 years or so now. And she is our wonderful clinician, and she comes out and helps us out during the day, and she sits with the kids and helps their problems and helps address some of the things that they're going through. And she and I got to talking, and she said, you know, Greg, if it's at all possible, I'd like to acknowledge a group of people. Like not just one, a group. I have had the pleasure of working with these guys all year, and they have worked so hard. We should do something for them. First of all, you should probably find out who Ms. Munzer is, because you stand and wave to everybody, please, Ms. Munzer. And you can tell by the applause from the kids upstairs, they love her. Oh my gosh, she is an awesome, awesome person. And she said she would like to recognize the entire clarinet section. Could you all come up, please? No, Pacey, you don't need your clarinet, but you can bring it if you like. Now, I'm going to be honest. It's the truth. I want to speak the truth. When they arrived at Westwood, it was sad. It was sad. They were like, they love music, but they were like, I don't know if I can play this thing very well. Pacey was convinced he was going to play alto saxophone. I said, no, please, come on. Stay with clarinet. You're good at it. And they took me to task. They went at it, and they went with Miss Munzer, and you are now all genius and wizard at it. And we're so proud of you. So this is to acknowledge your hard work. Little present from Miss Munzer and me for you. Great group of kids. Speaking of a great group of kids, you know, you've heard me say it, and I'll say it again because it's worthwhile, and I apologize to grade 12 parents for it. Well, no, I don't apologize. I don't. No. I got great kids. That's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. I didn't do that. You did that. You brought me some great kids. You made my job really easy, except for this one part where I have to decide award winners. Then it's like, you know, a bit of a living hell for me. I sit there and look at my computer, I'm like, and I look at attendance, and I look at assignments, and they're all equal. You know, I'm splitting hairs at some point, and it's really hard. But I sat down and gave it as best a think that I possibly could. And I'd like to recognize as most improved this year. These are people that have literally done A to Z in the band program, and I'm super proud of them all. But I'd like to especially recognize these 4 people for their hard work as most improved in the grade 9 concert band. Let's have Angeline Shaheen, David Fraze, Ethan Lapkin, and Leanne Kovacs. Come on up, please. MVP, I don't know what you call it. Outstanding kid, just really great people. I want to make this clear. This was a weird one for me because I don't always base it on academics. I had a kid one year fighting with a kid in a hallway defending how great the band program was. I was like, you won an award right there. That was it. I don't care if you're failing my class miserably. That's it, right there on the spot. You know, so it's kind of there's kids that do some really neat things. And there's kids that go out of their way. There's kids that volunteer in other bands. There's kids that do a whole raft of things behind the scenes that makes this what it is. This is not a top-down organization. This is a horizontal thing. They have as much stake in this as I do, and I love them for it. In fact, sometimes I'm down in the office at the start of class time, and you wouldn't even know I wasn't there. They've got a routine, they stick to it, and they're very, very diligent. And I'd like to recognize in alphabetical order, probably the best way to do this. Let's go with Winter, Drew, Descender, Taylor Dilworth, Danica Dumore, Blake Edwards, Julie Jang, Amanda LeBon, Maddie Ramjug, Emily Robertson, Caleb Sansom, and Kate Watson. Please come forward. Now, it is really, 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 really hard, I mean that, to picture that literally 1 month ago it was 20 below. I did a big countdown on the board, and I started on the 16th of April, and I started counting down the days till this concert. And we've been counting it down. If you follow our Instagram, you'll see that I post that picture today. It's like, where did that time go? You know, it was really, really cold here recently. And now, you know, it's so blistering hot, it's like all you want to do is crank your AC and hide inside and wish it was cold again. It's like, oh my gosh. Speaking of which, I'm just absolutely sweating. But when I picked this piece of music, it was time to push these guys. It was time to do something way outside their comfort zone. And I had a piece of music we were working on, right? We'd done a lesson on, and I'd done some work on them with them, and they loved sort of the idea behind the piece. But I was sitting there one day going, this isn't challenging them. This is too easy. I'm going to go find something. And that day, it was just ugly outside. You know, one of those days where you look out of your window going, I can't believe I have to go out in this. I have to. I have no choice. I have got to walk outside in these blizzard-like conditions. And it dawned on me, there was a piece from the early 90s written by a great composer who was stuck in a hotel for the exact same reason. This huge storm had come through the Midwest, and he was looking out his window, and he couldn't leave. So, like all composers, he was just sitting in his hotel room, and he started writing. And he wrote this song about this very, very impressive storm. So I want you to imagine peering out the window, you know, one of those days, you look outside, and you see it. And then all of a sudden, it just starts hammering your house. It starts hammering you. And it just starts going after it, going after it. And then we all know storms have those moments where they kind of abate for a little bit. And all of a sudden, there's this sort of pretty little, you look outside, and it's sunny, and the snow looks all beautiful, and it's just like, oh, wow, I love Manitoba. Oh, man, this is such a great place. And then it comes back again, and it hammers you even harder, and it's whipping it up, and you open the door, and there's 3 feet of snow right there, and you got to crawl over that even to get to your garage. That's what this piece is about. So I hope you enjoy that, and I sure as heck know you can relate to it, because I know I can, that's for sure. Here's a neat piece of music I think you're really going to like called Into the Storm. So as is the tradition of our concerts, there's no parent backstage, there's no teacher backstage. We all organize ourselves. These guys are going to get themselves off. I'm going to bring on the grade 10 concert band, and you guys can get a little bit of a stretch in. Absolutely. We'll see you in a few minutes. I'll let Desiree take over for a few seconds here. So I promised you a journey, a story, an adventure tonight, and I think the nines teed it up quite nicely and handed it off beautifully to the tens behind me. Our first selection is a piece about the Civil War. And when I teach in the classroom, I think it's a fool's errand to teach F on the clarinet, and this is a quarter note, and all those things. I think music speaks of this greater understanding of things. Music fills in things where words don't seem to work, and I think talking about the way in which the composer, or what the composer is trying to say, is really important. So we end up talking a little bit about Civil War, and I want to put you in the right frame of mind. So we're talking about a type of warfare where you can look across the room over there and see the other person trying to kill you. We're talking about a type of warfare that isn't a push a button and something goes off 500 miles away. We're talking about actually looking at the person that's trying to do harm to you, and you're trying to do harm to them at the same time. And in the middle of a crazy battlefield with cannon fire and all this other stuff, you're trying to get your group of guys to go left or go right and line up with what they're doing, and you're trying to load a musket, and you can see them running at you, and it's that saying, don't fire until you can see the whites of their eyes. That's close. That's really close. And it's scary. And this composer tried to sum all of that up. So it starts, the piece begins with a day, just like every other day, except the battle is going to take place this morning. And these soldiers wake up and know that once they can see the other team, the other regiments across the battlefield getting ready, they know that in about 20 minutes, half their friends will not exist anymore. And it's a weird job. And this is a thing that happened. This isn't a made-up story. This really took place. And so to delve into some of that with the students, it was really kind of exciting to see their reactions and their thoughts about it. So we've even labeled moments where the regiment shifts left here. A cannon fire will go off at some point. You'll hear it. And there's a pause, like you think there should be a big loud crash from the band. And the composer purposely delayed that by a couple of bars, just because you have to wait. You have to wait until you can see them. You can't just fire randomly. It's a waste of the shot. It takes all this time to reload. And in the end, our side, whatever side that is, becomes victorious. But I really want you to pay attention to the end of the piece, because the composer lets something sit with you for a minute. You'll feel this victorious uprising of the music at the end, but then you're going to sit there for a second and realize at what cost. Sure, you were victorious, but at what cost did that happen? So check out this piece. Here's Wildcat Valley for you. Such an interesting piece of music. And they took to it like a fish to water. They loved it. It worked. Just a really fun composition to play, and it's been lots of fun. Give me a couple of seconds here. I want to do something with the piano. We had a problem with it earlier in the day, and I've done some changes to it, so I just want to make sure that I'm happy with it, and then I'll get back to the story about the next thing. Stories. Everything's got a story. This is like the story of stories. This is so much fun. So, do you ever have a friend who tells jokes, but they tell the punchline before the joke's over? Yeah, that was me. I literally spent hours coming up with this cool lesson plan for this. I was like all excited about it. I was like, this is gonna be so much fun. And in the middle of telling the lesson plan, I told the joke. I told the punchline of what it was. Like I was like, what do you think this piece of music is about, a UFO? I was done after that. I'd already told them everything, and I was going to let them like digest it. And then we kind of had to work on it for a while, and I let them kind of picture it. So what I want you to understand is whatever you believe, let's just assume that with, I think the last time I heard an intelligent astronomer say this, I really had to look this up to be true. I thought this was fake news. Do you know there are more stars in the sky than there are grains of sand on the entire planet Earth? Let that sink in for a while. Those of you heading out to beach country this weekend, ponder that one. Infinite space in all directions. There's gotta be somebody else out there like us. It's gotta. Well, this piece is about them figuring out a way to get to us before we could get to them. And so they arrive, and they study us for a while. They hover wherever they hover, and they look down at our little blue marble and go, we need to find somebody down there. And then we sort of flipped it on its head. For those of you that are Infinity Wars people, we said, look, hey, maybe it's a collector. Maybe it's a group of explorers that are like, you know, just like we did to our own silly planet. They left Portugal, they arrived in the New World, and what did they do? Bring all this stuff back. Everybody will really like that. You, come with us. We're going to show you off to the Queen. Isabella gave us 3 ships. Well, we're going to prove to her it was worthwhile so we can get more. Maybe it's that. Maybe they've shown up to take some samples. And that's what we decided. None of this dissect us and look inside us and see what makes us tick. They're just going to grab a couple of us and take them away. And what's really cool about this is I want you to understand the sunset moment of this. As the piece ends, imagine it's you that they took. And you're peering out a little window, a little porthole inside your cell, and you're watching the planet Earth slowly disappear and becoming one of those billions and billions and billions of stars. very fun. Oh my gosh. It's really hard to do, too, to fade down to nothing. So the idea was for us to get as quiet as you could hear the fans overhead kind of moment, you know. So that was really neat. I really liked that. Well done, well done, well done. All right, time to acknowledge some people. And Miss Munzer had an idea about a group of kids in this band. I said, okay, well, let's do that. Let's figure it out. So first and foremost, this section, she told me that she was just like, every time I said, well, you could probably work with the altos. And she's just like, oh yeah, I'll work with the altos. That'll be great. And they just had such a great positive attitude. And every time they worked with her, they just like, let's do it. Yeah, what can we do? How can we get better? And they were just like, you know, just sucking all the information out of her and just really, really fun to work with. So she wanted to recognize all three of you. Come on up. Okay, give it up for the alto saxophone. Again, when I'm looking for most improved, I literally am looking for somebody who has changed. It may not always be just playing. Sometimes it's attitude. Sometimes they've improved their outlook. Sometimes they've sat down and just decided to give it their all, and maybe their all gets into a C+. But they're good people, and they work really hard, and that's what I'm looking for here. And so I've got three people that I'd like to recognize here today for their hard work and their great improvement in the band program. I'd like to recognize Liam Smith, Lydia O'Grady, and Ethan Dick, please. So as our MVPs or our top band students of the grade 10 concert band this year, again, whittling it down, just sort of, once you get at about 10 or so, it's like you're splitting hairs. Oh, this kid's got one less absence than that kid. Like, I mean, it's come on, it's just really hard. So in alphabetical order, I'd like to recognize Josh Bond, Brett Descender, Ryan Descender, Jared Dick, Nick Gameo, Desiree Lenchuk, Aaron Peters, Charlize Tan, Jessica Toll, Bentley Turner, and Riley Wilshire, please. Our last selection for you, holy cow, our last selection for you is about something maybe you can relate to. It's about a dysfunctional family. Ooh, that got some giggles, boys and girls. Everybody liked that joke. It's not a joke. It's really about a dysfunctional family. And so we made this up. Okay, I'm not kidding you. We made it up. It didn't really have a story. So we said, well, what do you think the song's about? We just started riffing on it. So we decided it's about a dysfunctional family in a small town, not a big town, small town. It's like kind of like a Morden Winkler thing, you know? Like when I go work in Morden and I work for the band program out there, all I got to do is tell some jokes about how bad Winkler is, and everybody laughs. It's great. I tell the same jokes just down the street when I'm working in Winkler, and I say how bad Morden is, and they laugh at the same joke. So I figured they had to be a small town kind of people, okay? I figured the dad had to be kind of an underachiever and a bit of an oaf. That came from one of the kids. Kind of dad, I'm a dad, but he's really kind of not all up here. The mom is a busybody. We just had a busybody mom, right? Busybody mom, and she's involved in everything, and she frets. She's a fretting mom. Then we said, well, they gotta have a family. It's gotta be kids. And they're like, well, kids, okay, well, let's have the oldest child be this guy who was like, I don't know, maybe he was like a bit of a brat. He was bored in school, and he really didn't do much, so he kind of just went out and just kind of did whatever he wanted just for his own entertainment. Middle child has to be the overachiever and stresses when everything is an A+. And then there's, just again, because they're dysfunctional, throw in an oops. You know, big gap, you know, a little baby somewhere in there. Throw in the rest of the characters of this thing. What do we came up with what else was in there? Was there there's what? Oh, there was a neighbor, yes, a neighbor who was always looking at this family going like, oh my God, I can't believe I live beside these people. Look at this other guy. There's a Dodge in the front yard, and if they mow around it, maybe they'll find a couple of bikes. You know, like that kind of, you're that neighbor, are you? Oh, yes, you're Westwood, aren't you? So you're looking over the fence going, oh, what's going on over there? And then maybe, you know, some incompetencies throughout the rest of their little town. And that is what we thought this particular piece is about. You were living under a rock if you have no idea what song that was. I just want to point that out. And I'm not going to tell you, just to let you know. Give us a couple minutes, we'll be back with Symphonic Band. No story, no nothing, just a huge celebration of music making. And I think that's a really neat piece of music. Really kind of fun. I should probably do this now, because they're all asking me about it anyway. So, you've heard me talk about my parents before. And I do everything, oh, listen to that already. I do everything I can to, deal with the same problems that you guys do. I get embarrassed by them, but I'm also very proud of them too. And usually I'm looking into one of these little devices saying, "Hi, Mom and Dad." Well, they decided to fly out to be a part of tonight's event, so I'd like to introduce my parents to you on the end of it. Yeah, well, there you go. The thing about your children in this band is that by the time they hit grade 12, as we talked about today, I've spent a lot of time with them. Unlike any other teacher in the building, maybe with the exception of some of our fine arts or phys ed, I really get to know these people behind me. And I spend a lot of time thinking about what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, what kind of emotional range they have. I'll be honest, I've taught kids before that have an emotional range of a teaspoon. That's not this band. They are very, very proud, and they're also very, very, very attached to their music. And I tried to pick some pieces this year that would stretch them into maybe some areas they haven't been, where less is more, where the music on the page almost looks like nothing. All these bars of silence everywhere. How am I supposed to make music with that? And this next piece is no exception. I think you'll really enjoy our interpretation of ballad. like tradition. I like the idea of tradition. I like the idea of why we do tradition. I like the idea of having a history or having a thought that we can, as a team or as a group, continue to honor and to celebrate. And I think coming into a program when you know there's certain traditions, coming in and being a part of a basketball team that's a decade of playing, and you come in with this idea, and I think the band program at Westwood is no exception to that. One of the things we talk about in grade 9 very honestly is it's kind of a funny exercise. We go through some of the swear words you're not allowed to say in the band room. You can imagine they have some giggles too. And I said, yeah, we're gonna discuss that today. They're like, what? We're gonna actually say the word. No, we're not gonna say the words. We're gonna go through a list of things. And I lead them on a journey, and we always end up at the same spot, which is they never can ever guess the biggest swear word ever. And the biggest swear word in our band room is teacher. And it's not a joke. I don't like that word. It implies a top-down organization where I have all the knowledge and I disseminate it to kids. And if I'm not there one day, they do nothing. What if it was horizontal? What if you were equal? What if we could come into a classroom where they had as much stake? They were as intelligent and smart as me. Google made it that way. I no longer have knowledge. Google has knowledge. This idea of us working together and doing something creates a tradition, creates an idea that young people are special. Young people are capable of great things. Was this reversed and this was World War II? Some of these people behind me, they'd be flying complicated bombing runs and working on calculus with pens and papers without a computer. And when it landed, half of them would be fixing the plane. It's all a matter of perspective. They're capable of great things. And in my classroom, I like the idea that they come in with traditions. And I honor and I celebrate them for it. And that's where the idea that I should start mugging your children came from. And so years ago, I actually made a beer stein. It was a true story. And as I was handing it out, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to be fired. I just gave the entire symphonic band autographed beer steins. And I sent them on their way and said goodbye. It's like, that's it. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be called into the office. Well, Greg, it's been a good run. Yeah, see you later. Bye. Okay, thank you. And I'd be at Domo going, hi, would you like to buy some wine glasses with your purchase today? And so I changed it to a glass. And since then, it's been a very big success and an honor and a privilege. And they get very excited about it. So this is the Westwood mugging. So if you've been in the band program for 4 years, you didn't move here, you didn't join late, you were here from day 1, September, all the way to today, I present you with an engraved mug. And it has our logo on it, which is We Play Here, and I love the double entendre of that. We have a heck of a lot of fun, and we work very hard. Nobody signed up to band to just sit around. We play, and we play a lot. So, I'm going to call them up. If you guys can help me out and organize this in relatively alphabetical order, I'll ask the brilliant and fabulous Ms. James to come join me, and I'll get Mr. Dewick to come help me as well, our wonderful administration team. Give them a round of applause, please, for being here tonight. They're very supportive, always here for all our events. Never seem to go home. They're always sort of kicking around the parking lot. So we'll do this as best I can in alphabetical order. And how did I organize it this morning while I was trying to do all these other things? By last name. There you go. So if you guys can help me out and kind of figure this out in last name, I'm going to call it, but I think you'll figure this out for me and help us out a lot. So this year's mugging goes something like this. These are all grade 12s. Julia Anderson, Rebecca Arnold, Zach O, Caleb Biso, Tierney Betts, Ava Boychuk, Keelan Burnett, Aiden Clark, Cameron Dewar, Brenda DeLazaro, Abby Hall, Emily Harris, Megan Helms, Bridget Hurd, Carter Kennington, Carter LaFleche, Carter, Amanda Lira, Ryan Lepke, Danica Maglis, Hunter Malmus, Alyssa McHugh, Cameron O'Dowda, Isabella Reimer, Sierra Rodich, Maya Sykes, Ben Ulmer, Emily Walker, Victoria Wolf, and Colin Yatchuk at the very end. was talking with our wonderful technology guru at the back, and he was saying, I wonder if the people on the interweb would love a body cam shot. Like I could wear like a camera on my head, and I'd be like, so you guys could see yourselves at the same time on the internet, and then I could show the band view. It's a live action shot of what it's like to be in. Maybe I could put a couple cameras in the band, and you feel like you're in there. I've often thought it would be an interesting thing to do is do a draw. And one of you would win the lucky opportunity of being in the band for the night. And literally, there would be a chair in the middle, and you'd have to go sit there for the concert. I'd throw you a French horn and say, just pretend, it'd be fine. Yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun. And seriously, just a neat thing to do this mugging. And I'm really blessed and happy to have the support of such fantastic administrators that allow us to do these kind of things. And you saw a glimpse of them up here. But another round of applause, please. The next section of our concert is entitled Music by a Whole Bunch of Dead Guys. That's true fact. Every single one of the pieces of music you're about to hear is composed by someone who is no longer living. I thought of ways to perform this for you. Chronological by death seemed to be the one. I think you might even recognize some of them, if we play them well enough. I mean, obviously, if we don't, then you won't. But I thought this would just be entertaining, a little bit of ear candy for you all. And I hope you recognize some of this. So let's start with our first little bit of dead people music. Was that the start of a very slow clap or what? What was that? Like that was definitely either the grade 9s or 10s for sure. Let's just do a poll, because we were wondering about this. How many of you, by a show of hands, recognize that piece of music? All right, a good solid 12% of you. Okay. Excellent. All right, let's see if we can do better with this next one. You know, I just wanted to see how long they can hold this damn note for. You know, every now and then I remind them of like, do you have a job? And they're like, yeah, I've got a job, Edwards. I'm like, do you ever go to your job and screw around and don't do anything? They're like, easy. I'm like, do you ever go to your job and do nothing and just sort of screw around sometimes? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, don't forget, you're watching me and I'm at work. How do you know I'm just not screwing around, having a great day? Maybe I don't want to accomplish anything but sit here for a while and listen to this. We're going to go into another piece of music in a second, but not yet. From a famous TV show. Some of you are old enough in the crowd to maybe recognize this TV show. See if you can spot this one. Anybody got it? What TV show was it? It was Alfred Hitchcock. That's correct. It was Alfred Hitchcock's theme. It was Gounod's March of the Marionettes is what the name of the actual piece of music was. Yeah, well, lots of fun. So, apparently the trombones could hold a note a lot longer than I thought. Huh? Apparently I wasn't doing my job. All right. This is fun. Oh, this is really exciting. You'll like this. This is kind of fun. Another deadbeat person music, but yeah, again, famous. And we'll feature some of the people that don't get featured very often in our band. So I hope you enjoy this. You gotta laugh. So if you don't laugh, you end up telling stories about students and crying in front of an audience, so we'll avoid that. Okay, well, you had 80 kids in front of you, so you can imagine how successful I was whittling that down to like next to nothing. So, I didn't. Big surprise there. I know you were like, really? You didn't, Edwards? No way, really? That's a surprise. Okay, I'll do my grade. Makes it a little bit easier in my head. It may not be easier in your head, but it's my head. And I like the idea that we're not ageist in this band. We think about each other as a global sense. And once you get into symphonic band, I always tell my students, it often shocks them. They think I'm leaving, and I say, you know what, guys? I don't teach. Grade 11. Nice. I don't... You know what? Give it up for our photographer, John McLeod there, who's running around the back anyways. Oh, feels good to sit. And while we're at it, give it up for Westwood alumni Brendan Burnell on the videography up front. Thanks, buddy. And then at the back, the always the fabulous Mr. Robert Carnegie doing our technology right now. Thank you very much, sir. And he's here at our building so much you'd think he's on staff, our sound guy, Mr. Corey Ellis. Years ago, I set out to figure out a way to do fundraising that was different than everybody else. And I came up with everything I could think of. My mom was very helpful. She and I thought about a whole bunch of stuff. We just went back and forth, back and forth. And this was like about the apex of the garbage your kids were selling. We're all there. They were coming home with boxes you didn't ask for. I'm selling these. And you're like, the hell you are. You're not going down the street door to door peddling chocolate bars. Give them to me. You probably did what I did. You just buy them all and throw them in your freezer. And then regret that. Around midnight every night. Chocolate bar. So, you know, I was looking for something. And years ago, it was so funny. It was like, I know what we could do. We could record a CD. That'd be really great. Let's do that. Let's record the band. So there we were in September. No lie. Recording... It's the most wonderful time of the year. And, oh my God, it's like 40 degrees outside, and we're like doing Christmas carols, and we would get it all together, and we'd wrap it up and sell you a CD. Then it was like, who does CDs anymore? Let's do this new thing called a DVD. And everybody's like, no, don't do a DVD. No computer has a DVD drive. Nobody owns a DVD. You're crazy, don't do a DVD. So I was like, wow, that lasted long because no computer has a DVD drive anymore. That technology literally came and went. It's gone. So I was like, well, what do I do next? So then it was like the flash drive was the next thing. Now I gotta tell you, I'm really honest with you and I'm gonna be transparent. I did this because I thought you wanted it. I thought you wanted someone to take pictures of your children and do this properly with a video so you could sit and watch a concert. Last year, we sold the least amount of DVDs we ever have in the history of doing it. We only sold 68. It's not a fundraiser anymore, it's break even. I want to tell you, because of people you don't even know that are long graduated from here, we're able to buy a brand new entire class set of 80 music stands next year. That's in September, they're going to come in, they're going to have brand new music stands. You think about now, you would probably want to applaud that fact. So because of our ability to do this, we're able to do some really neat things. We don't buy stuff 20 at a time. Could you imagine if 20 of those were black? Next year, they'll all be black. Because of your efforts in helping us with this fundraiser. We can't sell 68, folks. So to move to the flash drive, the cheapest way I could do that is to buy 100. So I did. I bought 100 of them. If I don't sell them, we're losing money. So we had the wonderful and the fabulous Miss Herzog, Miss Peters, Peters were out there helping. It's an 8 gigabyte flash drive. It comes with all of the photos of the year, all the videos of the year, including tonight's concert and tomorrow night's concert, and it's available for pickup with their report card. It's $20, and it's a keepsake. It's laser engraved, and it says Westwood Band 2017-2018. We need your help. We're going to do this, But I have told the students very bluntly, if we don't, that's the end of it. It is a ton of work. When I should be focusing on grad band and getting ready to wrapping up the band program, I'm in post-production trying to make sure I can fit all this stuff in. And I'm asking Brendan Burnell to do some things that are literally impossible. Take hundreds of gigabytes of information and try and fit them on a 4.7 DVD. There's a lot of compression, a lot of work. And so now I've given him 8 gigabytes. It's not a lot more, but it's enough to give him some breathing room. Right? Support us, help us out, or like all great things in this world, we're going to lose it if we don't support it. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? And I'm being totally transparent with you. Now, I told you I couldn't whittle it down, but I lied. I'm giving out one award to the entire 80 of you. That's it. One kid. Yeah, I set up a dartboard just threw a dart right at it. That was where it landed. That's the kid. It's a good kid. Right on. Seriously, though, there was one kid for most improved. That was it. This kid just over the top. Everybody's going to clap. Everybody's going to go, yep. Catherine Agri. Top grade 11s. You know the story, and no point in me saying it again. Here's it in alphabetical order. Gracie Bell, Avery Edwards, Barry Eno, Paige Flett, Lily Kohlbauer, Chase McKay, Rachel Owens, Erica Parisi, Michaela Parisi, Rachel Wojcik, and Eden Wong. Come on up. All right, this one was a hard one for me. As I mentioned, I've spent so much time with them, and to divide them up into just, this lost sleep over this one, that's for sure. So most improved, people who really changed this year. These are all really great players, keep that in mind. Most improved this year for me, Cameron Dewar, Cameron O'Dowda, and Caleb Burnett, please. Grade 12s. Julia Anderson, Rebecca Arnold, Tierney Betts, Brenna DeLazaro, Tessa Birch, Carter LaFleche, Ryan Lemke, Danica Maglis, Maya Sykes, and Ben Omer, please. I've lost it.
Good evening, everyone. Our names are Isabella Reimer and Abby Hall, and we would like to thank a few people for the product of 4 years of being in this band program. I think I speak for the entire band when I say we could have not made tonight possible without the support from the admin in our community. It's wonderful to see such support within Westwood for our amazing band program.
Before Symphonic Band finishes with our final piece, there are some people we'd like to thank. We would firstly like to thank Mr. Walden for keeping our bands on track for success and helping us polish our pieces for when our director can't be with us. We're so very lucky to have worked with him in our 4 years and could not have asked for a better man to fill Everett's shoes when he's away.
Secondly, we would like to thank Ms. Mutzer for volunteering her time willingly for sectionals with the band during classes. It's been a pleasure to be able to learn from you and receive the kind of support you give. Your contributions to the program are greatly appreciated. Lastly, we would like to thank Mr. Edwards. Where do we begin? What we learned in this class is something that transcends dynamics and articulations. We learned how to step outside our comfort zones, build courage, and we even learned to enjoy going to class first period. You've taught us critical life skills that will stick with us in our futures as we venture into university, college, or just the world itself. You can't find those crucial lessons in a page of music, but you have taught us to look beyond the music in front of us and focus on the bigger picture.
When we would look back, we won't remember the pieces we played or who we sat beside, but we will remember how we felt. We will remember every adrenaline rush before a performance, every success, every failure. You have enabled us to feel so much and to open ourselves up to possibilities we hadn't dreamed of. Before entering this band program, I think I speak for everyone when I say that I was not prepared for the level of intensity you expect of us. Though it was a rocky transition, to say the least, we have grown in the last 4 years into people I'm sure our past selves wouldn't recognize. You were the catalyst, the driving force behind every rehearsal where a piece just seemed impossible. Your relentless, unstoppable nature pushed us to be better. You turned the most timid, shy musicians to soloists that dare to be proud of the work they put in. Knowing when to deliver kind words or tough love is difficult, but you somehow always know just what to say to inspire us, to give us the drive we don't always have. You are our fiercest challenger, our most supportive coach, and the best director we could have asked for.
As he has stated before, Mr. Edwards has plans to get rid of all the stands we have in here in favor of newer models. And so, as our gift to you, marking our last year with the great 12s here and the stands, we would like to present to you the Golden Stand. Our symbol of appreciation and love for these short 4 years. And we would also know how excited you are for the new edition of the water fountain next year. In the meantime, until that installation, we also have this water bottle for you. I gave it away. Hope you enjoy that water fountain without us. It's been a pleasure and a challenge being taught by you, and we wish you success in the years to come.
We love you, Edwards.
Thank you both. Thank you all. You make me cry every year when this happens, and this one is no exception, but I did it over there when you weren't watching, and now I'm through it, so I'm good. I don't want to do it on the microphone. What can I say? I've got the greatest job on the planet. I love it very much, and I hope I show it. I hope you all, grade 12s, find a job you love. It goes by in a blink. It really does. And before you know it, you will literally be out in the workforce demonstrating all of the skills you've learned here in band. Google recently published its top 7 things it was looking for in an employee, and programming actually wasn't even on the list. Well, they said, we can teach that, but we can't teach teamwork. We cannot teach people who think globally. We cannot teach people who are part of a team. We can't teach the idea of independent work and pride. We can't teach resiliency, and we can't teach the idea of sitting down and dealing with abject failure on a regular basis until you find success. But these kids do that every day, and I'm so proud of them for it. Plug for our Safe Grad. Apparently, as of 7:20 this morning, the 50/50 was at $3,290. You can go online. This is a new thing we're doing. You can go online and be a part of that 50/50. The details are on our website, www.fundingchange.ca/WW Westwood Safe Grad. And that is going to go on until when, Ms. Kennington? Midnight? Midnight on the 31st. It's coming up. Draws on Friday. Awesome. Be part of that. Support our Safe Grad, everybody. When I show them the piece of music they were going to play last, we do an activity in the band room. It's really simple. All right, everybody, put your finger on the last note of this piece. And they do. And there's a pause. I say, that is the last note you're ever going to play. It's real. It's about to happen. And a whole bunch of those grade 12s are about to end their journey after 7 years of wonderful band. It's an emotional moment, and I picked a piece I think that nails it. I really hope you enjoy Into the Midnight Mist. You know what? Just before I get there, any help you can offer in taking this stuff back to the band room or hanging the chairs up and getting this gym clear so that Mr. Strulius and Mr. Schmeichel can have class tomorrow morning would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. This emotional journey, and I hope you enjoy it. I really screwed that one up, didn't I? I should have done the other things. Whatever. I'm the joke thing, anyways. You'll like this. We like this. Yeah.